What's up guys, DD Cthulhu here, back at you with some more Dauntless. Today I thought I'd go over a quick loadout video of what I run and the cells that I also go with that loadout. A lot of people have been asking me in my videos what I run and what I suggest. Now, before I start, this is my personal opinion. I will not tell people how they should play and all this stuff. Is 100% on you. If you like my loadout, then run it. And I will explain why I use each thing. So, to start off with, I typically use a sword. However, I recently transferred over to Austrian repeaters. They're really good. They're high risk, high reward. People think that the ideal play with the Austrian repeaters makes you sort of kind of cheesy and whatnot. And if someone's playing like that, that's on them. However, that's not how they're meant to be played. Again, high risk, high reward. You're meant to be up on the monster, aka behemoth themselves, and then do your reloads to make sure you get the extra damage buff on being next to them. So that's the point. However, and there's extreme drop off with the repeaters, which is why it definitely pays off to be next to the monster. However, it opens you up to being hit. Some people rather play safe. Not judging. So I run the Austrian repeaters with the standard barrel. I like having flat damage. Yes, it's not strong against anything. However, it's not weak against anything. No complaints. I used a full bore chamber. I love the piercing bolt. It really helps you get a lot of damage off in a very little time, especially if you aim at the monster's head to the tail or vice versa. The longer the monster's tail and you line it up at the tip of the tail and shoot through it, the more times it will hit. And I'll tell you what, you can do 3,000 plus a volley from this. I use the captain's grip. I like having the buffs, especially when you're playing next to the monster. It really helps. And I use the scoped sights personally. I love having the increased damage fall off range because I can just play a little further away than the next person and not be completely penalized. I use the brilliant prism. I suggest this because it's once charged, your attack will deal 550 bonus radiant damage, and the charge rate is higher with current health. So if you're not getting hit at all, it really comes back like extraordinarily quick. And that adds up when you're doing that burst damage on top of reloading right next to the monster, and you're having that increased damage as long as you're next to them and keep reload next to them. I love it. I personally won't use anything else. I have a couple others. However, this is the way to go in my opinion. I have the Predator Cell, which is increased damage after avoiding damage for a short period of time. It sort of kind of coincides with the ideal of the Brilliant Prism. Plus 3 conditioning, increased stamina regain. You can't go wrong with that. I personally, for a helmet, I use the Boreal Epiphany, plus 10. So I like the fact that it grants plus 3 conditioning because I'm not the best at managing my stamina. I got a lot better than I was before. I would run out and you're sort of kind of out of luck. The monster just pegs you, and then you're getting beamed and you can't even really do much until your stamina comes back. And the lucent cell, I preferred that the flask heal over time and get lantern charge over a flat amount of healing. That's just my personal opinion. Helps you stay in the fight a little longer. Then I used the Gnasher Cloak for my torso with the plus 9 lives. Let me tell you, the 9 life cell is extremely clutch. Extremely clutch. There are many times where I should have been chunked for a lot of damage and or died, and this cell saves you. My goodness. I get +3 tough, which is plus health with the Gnasher Cloak. I use the Quillspike Grips, +3 barbed, which is increased wound damage. And for the cell, I use acidic cell, which is increased wound damage at the cost of part damage. I use the Gnasher Treads for the boots. It's +3 tough, so can't go wrong with extra health. Makes it tanky. Knockout King, a percent increase to stagger damage. You want to be able to stagger that monster really quick. Trust me. And the Drask Eye. There is no better lantern, in my opinion. It's so good. It's so unbelievably good. Because half the time, it shoots a lightning bolt forward and hits numerous times. Before, I was using the Skarn's Defiance, and it is a pretty viable option. However, you have to be next to the monster for it to be even hitting it. So, you know, it's not the easiest thing to avoid some of the monsters. Some of them are really easy to dodge, some of them not. So, it's your call. But I love that the instant is to deal 30% increased damage for 6 seconds, especially when you're using the repeaters and you're stacking bonuses. And let's not forget about that hold. The lightning bolt is amazing. I use the energized cell for increased weapon meter gain. I guess it doesn't necessarily do anything too much for the repeaters as opposed to like a sword. Still helps. Alright, so we're going to go over to the perk summary. +6 conditioning, so +30 stamina regeneration. Now, keep in mind, you get no increased benefits if your cells and perks go over 6. If they go over 6, there's no additional benefits. So try your absolute best to avoid wasting spots for cells that you could be using elsewhere and getting more perks. Keep in mind, so when the armor piece has its own perk, it starts off at +1. When you get to +5 armor, it goes to +2. +10 armor, +3. It doesn't go higher than that. So keep that in mind. +6 tough. Increased max health by 500. Increased healing received by all sources by 50%. Nothing wrong with being a tank. I'm tanky, I'm beefy, I could take more hits, and I can heal a lot better from all sources. +3 acidic. I could theoretically go ahead and change this if I wanted to, but why not? Converts 50% of part damage to wound damage. I like being able to wound the behemoth and then take extra damage from that part. It actually would go pretty good with the marksman chamber. Especially if you hit that wounded spot, everybody targets it. +3 barbed, so +15 wound damage on hit. Can't go wrong with wound, yet again. +3 energized, so +20% weapon charge rate. Love it. Absolutely love having energized, especially when you're using melee weapons. Very viable. Knockout King, so +15% stagger damage. You knock that monster off guard. Bada boom, bada bing. There you go. Bunch of free damage. 9 lives, +12% chance to half incoming damage. Super clutch. Predator, deal 14% increased damage after not getting hit for 15 seconds. Bonus remove when hit. So it stays around as long as you're not getting hit. And playing the repeaters is pretty easy to jump around, dodge. So, you know, at your own risk. I love Predator. The +2 lucent. I don't find a reason to really go past where I'm at because the flask doesn't heal anymore. So the flask heals for 20 seconds. To my understanding, I don't know if it increases with the level, how much health it heals, but I know the lantern charge per second does go up with that, so that's pretty nice. Oh, sorry about that. Um, Going back to the armor before I wrap this video up, I run the Boreal Epiphany, which is plus 25 resistance to ice and minus 25 fire because of that conditioning. I I love the conditioning on it. That's the only reason I use that, and the rest is neutral. The reason I stay with neutral is because it's not, it doesn't have strength and it doesn't have weakness. That's extremely good, especially for starters, for you to invest in getting a nice neutral set because it will be viable against all types, as opposed to you having like a max fire element weapon, and well, eventually you're going to have to verse other fire behemoths, and that's where it's not going to be very viable. So neutral is the reason, is just the best in my opinion. It's good for all situations. Also, the Gnasher Cloak and Treads help get you to +6 tough, makes you into a tank if that's the kind of playstyle you like. Alright guys, so with that being said, I hope you enjoyed my loadout. In case you are curious, I am using the Transmog on my armor set. I have the Elite Pass and I have it maxed out plus level 50. As you can see, it's the Ninja Armor, so I'm running that on everything except the Quillspike Grips. So if you're like, oh, how'd he get his armor like that? It's a Transmog from the Elite Pass. So, yeah, that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any more questions, please leave a comment down below. I will go out of my way to find out whatever knowledge that you seek. I will help anybody with this game. I love this game. I love everything about it. It has just, I don't know. It's so simple and easy to pick up. I really rather enjoy it. So if any of you are struggling with any of the behemoths, please give me a shout out. My PSN is Deity Cthulhu at the top left of that screen, spelled exactly like that, no space. Add me on PSN. You can go ahead and follow me on PSN if you want, or you can just send me a friend request. I don't bite. I'm definitely 100% down to play with any and everyone and help you get to the end game. Alright guys, thank you for your time, and I will catch you next time. Peace.